gather this morning amidst a beautiful multiplicity of beliefs that make up a UU fellowship. Look around the room, or if you're on Zoom and all the squares on your screen. We are newcomers tasting this community for the first time. We are old-timers whose footprints are practically woven into the carpet here. We are seekers and skeptics, saints of habit and rebels of the heart. As my colleague David Brandine so beautifully reminded us in the welcoming words, we do not gather here because we are the same. Thank goodness. In a room full of Unitarian Universalists, if we all thought exactly the same, we'd have to check everyone's pulse. We gather not because of a shared dogma or creed, but because we chose to journey together. Imagine that. It was the most evident at the stewardship gatherings at my house this week. And if you didn't make it, I'm sorry, but you'll be invited again to my house, I promise. But each day I would prepare a lunch, and each day a different group of UUs would show up, bless our space. The menu was pretty much the same, but no group of UUs was the same. No conversations were the same. I felt as though I were trying to greet each person who came to my house, but in truth, they each honored me in some way, admiring the view. Some enjoying our gardens or our dogs, and some by bringing flowers and gifts, and not one gift was the same, not even flower arrangements. Not one was alike. Choosing to journey together is a beautiful, complicated, magical business. It raises a foundational question. How do we build a healthy fellowship from such a beautifully diverse, stubbornly independent group of parts? Our centering thought today from Earl K. Holt anchors its vital truth about our tradition by reminding us that a church in a congregational tradition is one thing and one thing only: an individual congregation whose primary covenant is to and among its members. That's it. Not some hierarchy, nothing separate from us, to each other. Think about that. We don't answer to a pope. We don't answer to a strict unifying hierarchy. The health and vitality, the very existence of this fellowship depends entirely on the promises that we make to each other here, right here, and our ability to follow through on those promises in the months and years to come. We are the architects of our own belonging. To understand what a healthy fellowship looks like, we have to look at how we relate to one another. Centuries ago, the Apostle Paul wrote a letter to the fractured and arguing church in Corinth. They were not in a good way. And he used the metaphor that has stood the test of time. And we heard it in our opening words. And I'm sure some of you cringed. Oh, she's reading from the Bible. And some of you were like, oh, she's finally reading from the Bible. But it is a universal idea. Indeed, the body does not consist of one, but of many. Paul points out the ridiculousness of a foot saying, because I am not a hand, I do not belong. Or an ear saying, because I am not an eye, I do not belong. It's ridiculous. If our congregation were made up completely of eyes of people who see the future, we would never hear the cries of the world. If we were all ears, ready to listen, but without hands to do the work, we could never roll up our sleeves and do the work of justice. A healthy fellowship requires us to celebrate our differences, recognizing that our interdependence is our greatest gift. Mark Morrison Reed's words echo this perfectly. Alone, our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength is too limited to do all that must be done. But together, our vision widens, and our strength is renewed. But how do we treat the differences of our body? How do we treat the stranger who walks through our doors, or the member we don't always agree with, or the person who needs a break from time to time, or the one who cannot do what they used to do, or the relative newcomer unsure of how to get involved? A healthy system adjusts and meets all of us where we are, despite any changes. This brings us to the wisdom of the Lord of Cranes. The wise old man, Tian, disguises himself as a beggar in rags to test the hearts of his city. The wealthy and the powerful ignore him. They look past him, but Wang, the humble innkeeper, sees the hungry man and feeds him. He doesn't ask for credentials. He doesn't ask for payment. He simply says, "Sit down, take a rest." He offers radical hospitality, presence. And what happens? The inn becomes a place of joy, of magic and abundance, symbolized by the dancing cranes. But notice the lesson Tian leaves behind. He actually comes back, and Kathy skipped over this because the story was too long, but he comes back and he says to them, "Teach other people to be generous to the poor as you have been to me." In a healthy fellowship, we are called to be like Wang's Inn. We must be a place where people can bring their ragged edges and make mistakes. They can bring their tired spots and their unpolished selves, knowing that they will be fed. And when we do that, cranes start to dance. The magic of community happens when we gather, get to know one another with generosity and kindness. Not because any creed or dogma are spoken or ritual done, not even because everyone knew each other's names at my house, because they didn't and I forgot to get name tags. Just because when UUs are together, they have plenty to talk about. Now let's be honest, radical hospitality and being one body sounds lovely on a Sunday morning when the music is beautiful and the sun's streaming in the windows and the coffee's brewing for coffee hour. And when we have an annual meeting celebrating a wonderful, amazing church year. But staying healthy as a congregation requires more than good intentions. It requires emotional maturity. It requires us each in our time to be strong and to be vulnerable and to show up again and again and again. Our second reading today touched on the work of family systems theory. In it, Richardson reminds us that the church operates exactly like a family system. And I don't know about you, but family systems are wrought with chaos. We have our anxious patterns, our historical roles, our collective joys, and our shared traumas. When stress hits a congregation, whether it's a budget shortfall or a disagreement over policy or how much an HVAC system costs or how to manicure the grounds or the natural friction that comes from changing times, anxiety can ripple through the system like a wildfire. I always joke that in a difficult times, you need good people or good systems. And in fact, it's fair to say that in a healthy fellowship, you need both good systems and good people. When a congregation is broken, in either way, you end up with people reacting by blaming and creating factions or withdrawing. And I know that in this fellowship, when leadership was lacking and the minister was perhaps not well suited for this congregation, some of your collective needs were not being met. Some people met outside the fellowship to talk about how things were going. This is absolutely normal to do in a congregational system, in a democracy, to meet outside, to try to figure it out. But a healthy fellowship practices what systems theorists call differentiation. It means we learn the art of staying connected to each other even when things are tense, without losing our integrity or making anyone feel like they're the other. It means when someone pushes our buttons, we take a deep breath and remember our covenant. We choose curiosity over conflict. It means that our covenant draws us back together to speak openly and directly with each other about what's bothering us and to look for solutions together again and again and again. And I know that's hard to do. And yet it's what I'm asking you to do from this day forward. Keep talking to each other. As our covenant states so clearly, we agree each week to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Notice it does not say to agree together in peace. It says to dwell together, to stay in the room, to keep talking, to remember that the person across the aisle, across the Zoom screen is a vital part of the same body. And even when you don't get along with them completely or you don't agree with them 100%, we all agree to stay in the room until we figure out how to make it better. Because we know each of our vision is too limited to do it by ourselves. This is what it means to dwell together in peace. Where then is our holy church? We sang just a few minutes ago in hymn 113, where race and class unite as equal persons in the search for beauty, truth, and right. Our holiness is not our building, nor is it a static creed. Our holiness is found in the quality of our relationships to each other. It is found in how we build this shelter for our collective spirits. As we move into the future, let us commit ourselves daily to building this healthy fellowship together by just showing up and saying yes to one another, and on occasion, even saying no, I can't, and explaining why. Let us practice the radical hospitality of welcoming the beggar and the seeker alike. Let us honor the wisdom of the Apostle Paul, valuing the foot and the hand and the eye and the ear and the nose and all the unique gifts of the whole body. And let us heed the wisdom of family systems, managing our anxieties with grace and authenticity, and maturity, and love. We will close today by singing hymn 317. I want you to let these words sink deep into your hearts as a marching orders for the week ahead. Let this be a house of welcome, living stone upon living stone, gladly showing all our neighbors we are not our own. May we build a fellowship where love is not merely spoken, but lived deeply again and again and again.
Good morning, dear one. Good morning, Donna. She's back. Just taking a poll. Did anybody else grow up with perfectionism? Just thinking about the poem I wrote this week. Gave that up. Poem's called Intervention. A woman said, imagine your life is a three-legged stool. The three legs represent work, family, and the self. If the legs are the same length, the stool stands steady. But if any one leg is longer or shorter than the others, the stool wobbles and may throw you off. I chose work, causing that limb to grow as long and leggy as Pinocchio's nose. Teaching kindergarten was my perfect job, as it inspired my creative soul. Songs, sign language, story time, science walks, centers, and of course the 3 R's, but done my way. When perfectionism reared its impossible head, I felt I had to do it all myself. Never knew how to ask for help. Up at dawn planning, my car was often the last out of the darkened parking lot. I see you nodding, Donna. A brain that never stopped whirling. Bathroom breaks, what are those? And lunch meant devouring a sandwich with one hand, revising plans with a pen in the other. Years and years of exhaustion. Neglect of my precious body. I became ill and careless. Fell off a step stool while hanging a flag. Shattered 8 bones in my foot. Non-weight bearing for a year. Ended my precious career. That same woman came to visit me in the hospital. She saw my tears, took my hand and said, perhaps the breaks of love are protection, not punishment. The universe saw you moving too fast, and he has blessed you with rest.